Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, Field Goals and Forecasts. You like that? I did it a little differently today. I'm Ryan Adio. Joined alongside me is my great co-host, James Derrick over there from inside the radio station at 88.3 FM The Buzz, St. Bonaventure, New York, on Afterthought Sports YouTube. Should we add something else to the intro? I don't know. I feel like I've said a lot, you know?
No, yeah.
All right, I think you got it all.
No.
NFL show, we're talking about some news around the league. We're going to get into a combine preview, and that's really all we got. We actually have some new breaking news that just dropped a little bit ago, but we'll get to that in just a minute, so stay tuned. We can just jump right into the news if you're ready.
Yeah, why don't we?
Yeah, let's do it. The Saints are going to be hiring former head coach Brandon Staley to be their next defensive coordinator. It's interesting. He was not very good for the Chargers. That's why they fired him. But maybe he'll be a better coordinator. I think when head coaches go from head coach to coordinator, it usually works out. So
yeah, and you can hope that it does for him. But I have a Chargers fan that's a friend of mine. He hates Brandon Staley a lot. He hates him a lot.
That's interesting. I didn't know that Chargers fans were so abundant.
Well, I don't know. He might be in some kind of, I don't know, maybe he just likes Justin Herbert. I don't know.
Oh, fair enough. Let's get into some rule changes. Actually, there's been a few rule changes in the NFL, or at least some possible rule changes. The first one is the salary cap has been increased from $255.4 million to $281.5 million. That saves a lot of teams. I won't lie. That helps out a lot of teams. I'm going to go over the top 10 teams with the worst salary cap here. The Saints are negative 47, so they're still going to be in the negatives despite the cap increase.
Yeah, and to clarify, this is after the cap increase.
Is it?
Well, I'm saying, are these...
No, this is before. This is last year. This year. Yeah. So I didn't take into account the new $30 million. So you can just add that on. I'm not a mathematician. $47 million in negative in cap for the Saints, negative $24 million in cap for the Browns. The Bills are negative $10 million in cap. So at least the Browns, the Bills, they'll be back to positive.
Yeah, the Saints, Jesus.
I have no idea who they're even paying. I actually couldn't tell you.
How do you even get into the negative, over 30 in the negatives? You know what I mean? That is a lot to be gone and down the drain at this point.
I honestly could not tell you who they're paying. I'm gonna look.
How are you?
Derek Carr. 30 million, 11 signing, 10 regular.
Okay.
Guaranteed 10. Cam Jordan. Oh, they had that huge Taysom Hill contract.
Really?
Yeah, he's their third highest player. It looks like.
No.
Yeah, that's bad.
So they just pay everyone.
$17 million for Taysom Hill, 15 for Eric McCoy, 12 for Demario Davis, 12 for Ryan Ramczyk, 12 for Cesar Ruiz, Carl Granderson.
So they don't have one contract where someone's making $40 million necessarily. It's just
Derek Carr. Derek Carr is making 51.
Oh, he's making 51. I thought you said okay.
It says base salary 30, but then it says cap number 51. And I'm going by cap number.
Oof.
That's rough.
So I guess if you want to get paid, I guess in the future, it's not the Saints that you go to, but when they get their money back, I guess they'll just pay anyone.
They will just pay anyone. And can you even have a free agency if you're just
if you're minus 47 in cap, just skip free agency.
But then after that, it really kind of falls off, and they're not really paying anyone else. Chase Young got voided. And that was $9 million. Alvin Kamara was $10 million. Tyrann Matthews $11 million.
Okay, so it could start to stack up for them, in their favor.
At least that's what this over the cap is telling me. So.
Well, the bottom line is, hey, look at these teams that are at the very top of the league in terms of negatives being in the cap, and they still don't win.
And
they've got Saints and Browns.
Saints and Browns. How? You're not even good. They're probably going to be two of the worst teams next year. and they have the worst cap. They can't even improve. Yeah, it's really just Derek Carr. It is really just Derek Carr. He's hitting $51 million.
Yeah, and you know what? The Browns, they're looking to trade Myles Garrett as well. It depends on how much they're still going to be paying that contract. But there's only 1 or 2 years left, correct? Something like that. Good question. I actually don't recall.
I don't even know. I have no idea. I would assume whoever takes Myles Garrett is also taking his contract.
Yeah. I mean, you imagine the only reason the Browns even want to get rid of him is so they don't have to pay him, really. But the Bills being minus 10, that sucks. But the additional cap this room, the additional cap room this year will help. Yeah.
So you thought Derek Carr at $50 million was bad? How about Deshaun Watson at $73 million?
Oh my God.
$73 million. Myles Garrett's going to be a $20 million cap hit. Denzel Ward's going to be 25. I'm just rounding up. Jack Conklin is going to be 19. Joel Bettino, 14. Wyatt Teller, 14. Greg Newsome, 14. Delvin Tomlinson, 11. David Njoku, 11. Judy is getting 7, maybe closer to 8, I guess.
You know what, though?
That's really the last they're big. But $73 million for Deshaun Watson.
I mean, there it is, right there. That's it. I mean, that needs to go. But to be honest, the Browns might be looking at an abundance of cap room very soon. You know, they're not going to be paying Myles Garrett pretty soon, and a lot of that defense wants out. They're still going to take that
cap hit, I believe. I think they're still going to take that $20 million, but then they'll only be -4.
Yeah, but
it's really Deshaun Watson.
A lot of the defense wants out too. I know Newsome doesn't really want to be there. That's Ward doesn't want to be there. I mean, the cornerstone of their defense is going to be gone. So there's no reason, as a defensive player, I guess really, or offensive player, that team just sucks.
Yeah, they're going to be in a rough shape for the next 2 years at least. And then we got the Bills. We're at -10. It's Von Miller.
Yeah, we know what it is here.
And it actually probably just got worse, but we'll get into that in a second. Von Miller, $24 million. Ed Oliver, $20 million. Josh Allen, 45. Josh Allen's only getting 45. Deshaun Watson's getting 72, 73.
Derek Carr is
getting 50.
51 or something like that.
Yeah. Crazy numbers. That shouldn't be right, but it is. Seahawks are -6.5, but they're not they have one of the lowest dead caps in the league. They're pretty much doing well. They're gonna have a decent offseason. Falcons, it's just Kirk Cousins that is really screwing them. They're -5 million. Dolphins, we're starting to get into the positives here. 1.5 million in cap. Mm-hmm. They pay nobody, so I have no idea how they're low. I mean, Tyreek Hill, Tua, basically.
Yeah.
Cowboys are 2.5 million. They did just pay CD and Dak, so I'm gonna assume that number is gonna go down. Texans are around 5 million. They signed a lot of people last offseason. That makes sense. Chiefs are around 8 million, and the Buccaneers are $8.4 million positive in cap. And those are your bottom 10 in the league. But they all just got a little bit of a boost. I guess, which team do you think that helps the most?
Well, the Browns. Yeah, the boost isn't going to help the Browns or the Saints. The Saints and Browns could both have $200 million in cap room, and there's no saving them. I don't really think there's much they can do besides tank and draft and rebuild at this point.
They have to draft because they can't sign anybody.
But this clearly helps out the Bills a lot. I mean, with some other news recently, you can see how that does help them out.
We're just playing it off and off and off until we get there, but we'll get there.
You can't know yet. But yeah, it takes us from the negatives into the positives. I think for really any team that does that has that effect, the Falcons the same way. I think it's going to help both those teams tremendously. They're going to have money that they didn't think they were going to have.
Maybe money for Myles Garrett, not for the Bills, but maybe the Falcons. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to move on a little bit here. A new rule thought. You mocking me?
I'm just saying they're not. The Falcons aren't even sniffing Myles Garrett.
All right, if you say so.
I just don't. I think if there's a team with a bird that's going to get Myles Garrett, it's going to be the Eagles.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, obviously. We've talked about this before, but if you really look at, the cap space, a lot of, kind of the bad teams in the league are kind of in the bottom of the cap space.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I mean, Dolphins, Falcons, Seahawks, they're about like mid. Texans are good, but not great. Chiefs, obviously, whatever. Buccaneers, again, they're kind of mid. And then Bills.
How about
Chiefs.
those Cowboys? How are they? How are they in the? I mean, for obvious reasons, we know why they're in the top here in terms of, having the least cap room. But the fact that they're one of the worst teams, it just again doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess a lot of the teams just make like one big mistake and their cap room tanks because of it, and the mistake really kills them.
Yeah.
Like the Bills, Von Miller, Browns, Deshaun Watson, Saints, Derek Carr. I couldn't really tell you who the Seahawks, their big mistake is, but Falcons, Kirk Cousins, Dolphins, Tyreek Hill at this point.
Well, Geno Smith is making some money, isn't he?
He is, yeah. But his contract isn't crazy.
It's nothing insane, but he's making some money for sure. I know that.
All right, I'm going back to Google here.
Geno Smith, I mean, how much is he reasonably worth? Like off the top of your head, I'm thinking like Geno Smith, you can make like
$44 million.
Oh, see, I don't know.
Is that right?
Is that make sure that it's the cap
$44.5 million cap hit. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett's making 30.
Tyler Lockett's making 30.
Yeah, that's his cap hit.
So now we understand what's wrong with the Seahawks here.
Uchenna Nwosu's making 22. So they're just paying a lot of people. Draymond Jones is making 26. Leonard Williams is making 15. Noah Fant's making 13.5. Yeah.
Jesus.
So they're just paying. They're just paying anybody.
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong, those are pretty. I like Nwosu's pretty good. Leonard Williams is pretty good. Draymond Jones, honestly, couldn't tell you, but. I mean, I'm sure they're good players. It's just $26 million for them. I don't know.
Oh man.
Anyway, we got to move on.
Yeah.
NFL is considering changing the touchback to the 35-yard line, and they're also going to try to give alternatives to the onside kick. The UFL actually has an alternative. Yeah, alternative to an onside kick that I really like. Teams start on the opposing team's 28-yard line and have a 4th and 12 situation. So you start in opponent territory, like from your own 28, I guess I should say. And you're saying you get a 4th and 12. And if you get it, you get it. If not, they have great field position. What's your thought on that? Maybe coming to the NFL.
I don't know. I kind of like that more. Obviously, the way it is now sucks.
A lot better than the onside kick. Yeah, onside kicks never work.
Having to declare the onside kick just makes it even worse. So the onside kick, something has to be changed about that. That it's kind of one of those rules where you don't want to change it too much, or else it really tips it into, it tips the balance too much in favor one way or the other. I don't know if this is one of those ways. I mean, I think it's time to get almost a little experimental. I think this could be something that maybe they try out. I mean, if you have to take it out because people hate it, then that's fine. But, I feel like this is worth a try. This is an idea worthy of a try, maybe only the preseason. In the MLB for spring training, they're trying out the ABS challenge system,
right.
For challenging balls and strikes. Let's get a little creative. Try this in the preseason.
Yeah, you could do that, yeah. And honestly, that might be what the UFL is for. Possibly. They tried it. They thought it was pretty decent, and I like it. I like it more than onside kick. Like, they could do something like that for sure. I would be very happy with it.
I think also, really anything that takes, kickers out of the, outcome of the game even more is better. Because really? I think no one likes it when the kicker decides the outcome of a game.
I guess that's true.
Game-winning field goals, fine, but missed field goals more so, and a good onside kick or bad onside kick, I don't know. I hate when it all comes down to the kicker.
But yeah. Yeah, it's kind of just the onside kick just doesn't work, and now that you have to declare it, it's even worse. I would think they would look for some alternatives because honestly, I think getting teams back in the game easier is definitely better. Like even the Super Bowl, we saw the Eagles just pull away and pull away and pull away.
Mm-hmm.
If there are ways for teams to get back in the game somehow, I think that's much, much better.
Yeah, and you know what? We see more of the offense on the field, and of course it's a big risk. But maybe if you're like that dominant, your defense just never sees the field. Imagine something like that.
That would be crazy.
That'd be crazy. We could have some comebacks in the fourth quarter where you're down 21, 28 points. But
wouldn't that be awesome? Like, wouldn't that be such a good? I feel like that just makes the game even better. Like, that's me personally, but.
I mean, there are some other things to think about. Imagine a team does convert, then that's kind of like they basically just have two offensive drives that are the full length of the field, right?
Right.
And, then it's like the defense is out there over and over and over again. The offense is out there over and over and over again. I think it could be really fun if a team is down, that if they had to do that and all of a sudden things were clicking, it could be a game.
Yeah, I mean, like, when onside kicks get recovered by like the kicking team, it is a lot of fun, but it just never happens. So I think having a better alternative with higher risk is definitely going to be a lot better, because again, if you don't get it, they start in field goal range. So other than that, 35-yard line for the touchback. What's your thought on that?
I don't know, why are we bringing it so far forward?
I guess they want to encourage more kick returns. So by saying, hey, if you kick it out the back of the end zone, we're going to give it to him on the 35. But, like, kicking it out of bounds is the 40.
Yeah, I mean,
crazy.
Is it really going to be only a 5-yard difference? And I don't know, or do we really need to encourage kick returns? I feel like a lot of the times if I'm watching a game, and especially fantasy football is always a big part of my NFL season.
Right.
I hate watching kick returns.
Yeah.
It ruins it every time. If someone's about to be on offense for me and then all of a sudden that entire possession gets wiped out because someone returns a kick. Yeah, it is one of the most exciting plays in football, but I think maybe not so much. I don't know if everyone loves it as much as the NFL thinks they do.
I know with the new kicking rules, they have encouraged more kickoffs, but I don't really remember any kickoffs going to the house. Like, at least this year, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It almost feels like it's not working.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is here the NFL is almost focusing a little too much on how to make kickoffs exciting. Like the rest of the game, the onside kick we were just talking about, that needs a little more work.
That does need a lot more work.
Out of really everything, the kickoff is the least necessary. If, in complete and total honesty, you can get rid of it completely and teams just start at the 25 and the game is not that different.
Yeah. And I was talking to, we did the interview with Steve Tasker, which you all should watch. It was very good. One of the questions that we asked him was how the new kickoff, rules would affect special teams. And he was like, yes, it encourages kickoffs, but it gets rid of a lot of strategy, too. Where you kind of right where the guy's going to come from, like right where, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it almost gets rid of a lot of strategy with the kick returns and stopping the kick returns as well.
Yeah. I mean, special teams is also one of those things that can flip games on their head, especially when you have two evenly matched teams. We talk about it a lot in the playoffs because those special teams plays are insane. And I think from a coaching standpoint or even, an analyst standpoint, there's a lot more appreciation for special teams players making big plays. But I think in terms of general audience, I don't know if that's what people are looking for.
Yeah. I mean, your superstars are on offense most of the time.
Exactly.
Right? If you don't really see the offense play, it might decrease views. I don't really know. It's a hard one. I think having all three phases of the game be really solid, really fun, makes it better. Again, getting back into games. I think, like, you're down 2 scores. It's the end of the third quarter. You take a kickoff to the house. Like, remember what was his name? The Bills kick returner against the Dolphins.
I'm not even sure if I remember what you're talking about. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, Deontay Hardy?
Oh.
Dolphins. He had the insane kick return to get us back in that Dolphins game.
Wait, what? You're talking this year?
No, this was 2 years ago.
That was some necessary context.
My bad. And
it
gave us the first seed.
Okay, yes. Okay, so kind of when we had a crappy first part of the year, and we had to really make up for it. Okay,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was electric. When DeMar Hamlin, the game after his collapse on the field, Nyheim Hines had 2 kick return touchdowns.
Yes.
2, and one of them was the first play back since after. So that was electric. Like stuff like that, I feel like you almost don't see it anymore.
That is true. You know what? There are some huge kick return moments throughout history too.
Right. I mean, the miracle at the Meadowlands.
You're talking about
all-time great. Was it Deshaun Jackson? That sounds right, but I don't know. And he dropped it. I mean,
that was a punt return, though.
Yes, that was a punt return. But still, those kind of kicks and stuff get you back into those games, and that's where the big moments come from sometimes.
Yeah.
The Music City Miracle with the Oilers and the Bills.
The forward lateral miracle, of course.
Yeah. It was forward.
Come on.
Forward. But I mean, what can you do at this point?
Nothing.
They didn't have replay like they do nowadays, but stuff like that would never happen if with the new kick return, I fear.
No, the new kick return, yes, it's making it so players don't get hurt as much, but it's definitely lame. There's something wrong with it. It needs to be adjusted. I don't think forcing people to return the ball more often is going to solve the issue, by moving it to the 35-yard line for a touchback. That's not going to solve it.
Right.
I don't know. I'm glad I don't have to think about this issue.
Yeah.
Honesty.
I guess either way, I'm happy either way. I'm happy that there were less injuries on kick returns and stuff like that. But I don't know if we need to keep worrying about it. I think if you leave it alone for a good amount of time, eventually teams will figure it out.
Yeah.
And they'll make strategy for it. But if you keep changing it, they can't. They can't really get a good strategy going. Anyway, that's all I got for rule changes. Let's get to players here. A couple players got released. A couple players got signed. A couple players are looking to maybe seek trade. I'm just going to run through a couple of these because there's not much to really talk about. Chargers safety Elijah Molden, 3-year, $18.75 million contract. That's a pretty good signing for them. A lot of teams locking up their safeties here. Chargers tight end Donald Parham Jr. was signed by the Steelers to a small 1-year deal. I believe it was like $1 to $2 million, so I'm not really going to go into detail on that. The Browns have released their safety Juan Thornhill, who was actually he's a pretty decent player. I was actually very surprised that they released him. But the Browns will be the Browns. That's just how it is. The Panthers are going to release linebacker Shaq Thompson, which is the end of an era. He was with them since 2015.
Yeah, he was there for a while.
He was there for a long time, and he could go somewhere pretty good. He's still a very solid player. And here's the big news we've been holding off from you guys. The Bills are extending wide receiver Khalil Shakir to a 4-year, $60 million, $32 million guaranteed contract. I definitely messed that up.
No, you were good. You said 4 years, $60 mil,
4 years, $60
guaranteed.
million, $32 million. Yeah, okay. I thought I said it weird, but that is the big news. $60 million for Khalil Shakir. 31 a year. Well, his cap hit is, drum roll please, $32.28 million cap hit. So he's the second highest paid player on the Bills now.
Which is weird.
Yeah, I mean about $15 million a year, 4 year. If it's 4 years, $60 million, so it's about $15 million a year. I mean, I'm sure it's not set up that way.
Yeah, I'm sure
it's more front loaded or back loaded, but
yeah, one or the other. But also, you also got to talk about the fact that only 32 are guaranteed. I mean, we don't know the stipulations around that yet, but you could also just be looking at a contract that only ends up being around $50 million too. So
yeah.
I don't know. We were talking before the show some wide receivers that make a lot of money, and
I was looking at some other receivers. So let's go yearly, average a year. Let's say he makes $15 million a year.
Yeah.
Other receivers that are making about that much a year. Tyler Lockett makes $15 a year.
They're like the same archetype of player.
You think so?
I mean, not the exact same.
Tyler Lockett's like a deep threat. Khalil Shakir's like a slot, but
Well, Tyler Lockett
very
recently, especially, has played more slot. He's kind
That's
of
true.
a little more fragile in his older age.
Yeah, they're like kind of the same size and stuff.
Yeah. I think
I like Tyler Lockett. don't
Tyler
get me wrong.
Lockett throughout his career was definitely better than Khalil Shakir,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I mean,
I'd say right now they're kind of a similar player.
right. Tyler Lockett makes about 15. Cortland Sutton makes about 14. Jerry Jeudy makes about 17.5. Christian Kirk's making 18, but his contract was nuts. Deontay Johnson makes 18.35.
See,
That's crazy.
I can feel good about that. Like I can feel good about the fact that we are paying, less than Deontay Johnson. We didn't fall for any kind of Deontay Johnson trap.
We are getting him for relatively cheap.
Yeah.
I actually really do like the contract. When I saw 60 million at first, I was like, ooh, that's a lot more than I thought we would pay him. But 32 guaranteed, I'm not really mad about it.
Yeah, only 32 guaranteed. That's the big part here. And usually those incentives are somewhat easier to earn as long as he just plays every game.
Yeah, and the receiver market is going up. Like they're starting to pay these guys more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Jefferson got a $140 million total contract. CeeDee Lamb got 136. AJ Brown got 96 million. Amon-Ra got 120 million. Brandon Ayuk got a $120 million contract, which 30 million a year. 2 Khalil Shakirs, basically, if you think about it that way. And he is not that good. So
No,
I would say we got a little bit of a bargain here for Khalil Shakir.
it was definitely a bargain for Khalil Shakir considering what else we've got. So
Yeah.
that's
And
fine
Amari
with me.
Cooper, I think, is 20 million a year. So he's the second. So Shakir's the second highest paid for now. I'm not sure if we're gonna keep Amari Cooper.
I don't even know how Khalil Shakir. I don't even know how we were able to pay him around what will end up being, or only around 15 million a year, considering Amari Cooper's right next to him. I feel like he would just point over there and say, "Hey, look at
Yeah.
him."
I don't know. I mean, maybe we got a bargain for him. I'm not really. I'm happy with the contract now.
Yeah.
Saying it out loud is a lot worse than thinking about it, and like compared to other receivers for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely that cap extension helped us a lot, giving us what 30 million more dollars. So that puts us 20 million positive, which it's all gone now. But that definitely really helped us. I still think we can make some moves here. Anyway, other than that, Matthew Stafford, the Rams have given him permission to begin talking to other teams, to begin seeking trade from other teams. Where do you think he ends up if the Rams don't bring him back? And he's looking for a lot of money too.
I mean, how much money? I guess.
I think he said he wants 50 million a year.
Man,
Crazy.
that's demanding.
Yeah, crazy.
I really don't know where he's gonna go. In all honesty, the Rams have always been the best fit for him. Come on, they're a team that could have easily made a run at the Super Bowl by the end of the year, and they finished 10-7. Their defense was playing so much better by the end of the year. The offense is obviously still gonna all be there, maybe with some regression from Cooper Kupp still, but Puka Nacua is just gonna get even better and better.
I don't think Cooper Kupp's coming back.
He won't be coming back at all?
I don't think so. I mean, he made this whole
That's
letter,
right. Now I remember.
So I don't think he's coming back. The Rams are definitely trying to go back into rebuilding mode, and they have the key young pieces to do it. So I think it's a smart idea for them.
I guess it wouldn't be a horrible idea because how many years is Matthew Stafford trying to play? If he wants to play 4 more years, it's like, geez, we don't have time for that.
Right. And he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild.
No, and the Rams don't want to try to, keep trying for 3 or 4 more years.
Stafford's 37.
37. See, 1 year maximum.
Yeah, like a 2-year contract maybe. But with who? Like the Jets? The Browns?
I don't know if anyone really wants to fall for that trap. Someone will. Someone will pay him.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
I think so. If not the Rams, then I don't know who. But maybe he goes like the Titans? And then they don't take quarterback?
I don't know. I feel like
maybe they could trade.
Some of this stuff could even be draft night, but
Yeah, ready? Listen to this. Matthew Stafford, and maybe some picks. Maybe Matthew Stafford, some first-round picks for the first overall pick from the Titans.
I don't know. Why? I feel like the Rams just shouldn't do that. To be
You think
completely honest,
you think the Rams shouldn't do that?
I don't know. How many picks are the Rams getting rid of on top of Matthew Stafford?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm not making the trade. I'm just saying maybe that could be, one of the trades that is going to be made. I do think the Titans are going to end up trading the first overall pick.
It wouldn't be a horrible move, I guess, but it really depends on how many other picks the Rams would have to give up. Ultimately, right. I don't think Matthew Stafford at his age is of value enough where you only have to give up one or two. I think you'd have to give up more than that. And I think for really any organization, giving up 3+ draft picks isn't a good decision.
Maybe Matthew Stafford for Myles Garrett? Not just that, but
the Browns would do that.
The Browns would do something like that. They would. That or Kirk
Seriously.
Cousins. It's either Matthew Stafford or Kirk Cousins for the Browns. I've just decided that that's how it's going to be.
Or Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, they basically, when you look at a sheet or something and you sort by top to bottom. Mm-hmm. When the Browns look at quarterbacks, they sort from age, from highest to lowest.
Yes.
So they see 37-year-old Matthew Stafford, 6-year-old Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
And 30. Oh God, 38. How old is Aaron Rodgers nowadays?
Anywhere from 38 to 40, somewhere there.
God. So I mean, those are your top guys right now.
He might already be 40. I don't actually know.
God, he's 41.
41.
My God,
he wasn't even in my range.
I did not know that. Wow.
Making me slam my table over here.
Yeah, so 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers, 37-year-old Matthew Stafford, 36-year-old Kirk Cousins. They're getting one of them, and I promise you, Browns fans, you're going to love it.
I feel bad for whatever teams end up with any of those three guys.
Yeah. Maybe not Matthew Stafford. I think he has the highest upside.
Yeah, because he can still sling it. But
He's still slinging it, yeah. Maybe he goes back to Detroit. Who knows? But last thing I have here is Trey Lance is set to leave the Dallas Cowboys. And all I have written here is, good job, Jerry Jones. Why did you trade for him? What was the point in trading for him?
Yeah, he traded a draft pick, didn't
They traded a 4th-round pick for him.
Jesus.
A 4th-round pick for Trey Lance to put him in 2 games, ruin his career, and then say, nah, I don't know, see you later.
That doesn't make any sense.
They just ruined him. They really just ruined him. I don't even know what to say.
I mean, I can't be the only one struggling to make sense of this. A 4th-rounder for nothing, really, is what the trade is.
A 4th-round pick for Trey Lance just to make him your 3rd string. Don't really develop him. Don't increase his trade stock, and then just say, yeah, see you later.
I mean, come on, Devontae Adams was traded for a 3rd, wasn't he?
Or something. Devontae Adams for a 3rd, Amari Cooper for a 4th. Is that what it was?
Yeah, Jerry Jones, you're in shambles, bro. A 4th,
yeah.
A 4th for Trey Lance, considering the value of picks in general, is just better than that.
And you didn't even try to develop him. You didn't even try to make him more appealing for other teams.
That's the worst part of this trade, is the fact that it kind of seems like he did this without any sort of plan. He was just I want Trey Lance.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool if we had him. I think he could be really good at refilling the Gatorade bottles.
Yeah, he's just such a good morale boost for the team, right, Trey Lance.
I really like having 3 quarterbacks that could take the spot as starting. Cooper Rush, yeah, he's 30. He's old. He's 36.
He's also pretty old, yeah.
I don't think he's 36, but he's older. He's up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trey Lance, I have no idea. And does he even get another shot? Cooper Rush, 31. Does Trey Lance even get another shot?
I don't know. He's an alternative to Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford or some of these quarterbacks. If
you're a Browns fan, maybe that's your 4 options.
Oh.
You get 5. You know what? I'll make it 5 options. You ready for this one? Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Matthew Stafford, Trey Lance, and wild card here, Cooper Rush. You can get him.
Cleveland Browns, those are your only
Or
options.
you stick with Deshaun Watson or Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who has proved he's just not very good.
I can't wait to see what the Browns do. I can't wait.
This is going to be a fun offseason. I won't lie.
I hope they prove us wrong, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, they could. I do think this is going to be a good offseason, though, for sure. A lot of teams making a lot of moves. But we can't start the offseason without the Combine. The Combine is in, 4 days now? Today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 3 days?
Ryan, the fact that you can't figure this out is kind of crazy.
All right, fine. It's 3 days.
A couple of days.
I actually don't
Several
know.
days.
I forgot what day the Combine was.
I thought you were saying it was...
A, I can't do the math, and B... Okay, no, it's on Thursday, so it's in 2 days.
Oh, okay. I thought, because honestly, I thought you were saying it was on Friday, and I'm like, you really don't know how many days are in between
Friday,
Tuesday?
But it's not.
Okay, so Thursday, 2 days.
It's in 2 days. So we're going to do a little bit of a Combine preview for you guys. We've compiled a list of players to watch at the Combine and also players you should keep your eye out for, especially if you're looking for those positions. I guess we'll just jump right into it. Maybe some names you haven't heard of before, and maybe some names that you have heard of that you kind of forgot about, or I don't know. But should be a good one. You want me to start? You want to start?
Why don't you start us off, Ryan?
So this one kind of might be obvious. I'm looking at Alabama outside linebacker, or off-ball linebacker, Jihad Campbell. So he's got really good size. At least I think so. For a coverage linebacker, he has really good size. He just is very raw. Like most players coming out of Alabama, they have the talent, but they just have to be shaped. They have the athleticism, they just have to be shaped. If he really shows out at this Combine, I think his draft stock will go way up. Right now, he's a projected end of first, maybe early second round pick, at least from what I'm seeing. But I think he could easily make his way into the first, maybe even mid-first rounder. There's not too many great linebackers in this draft, at least from what I'm seeing. There's a big fall off. So there's a couple really good ones right at the top, and then it just falls right off. But I think if teams are desperate enough, he could definitely make his way into a mid-late first round if he shows out at the Combine.
Yeah.
So I would keep my eye on him for sure.
Yeah, and you also mentioned, the fact that, coachability is also a big thing, and being from Bama,
right.
A successful program like that, that everyone is going to be coachable. You know what I mean? No one's going to be difficult. Which brings me to my first person to watch out for. Kind of obvious.
We're in the same boat here, yeah.
Yeah, another outside linebacker, kind of plays that edge rusher position. Jalen Walker from Georgia. There are some concerns about his size and frame, if he's going up against a bigger tackle. But I think what it comes down to is speed and athleticism. I think once people see the fast twitch motion, the speed, the combination of both the speed and the athleticism, his draft stock could go way up. But if it's maybe not as much of a sight to behold as I might think, being undersized, he could fall a little bit. But I still think he does have the potential to be a big contributor on whoever drafts him. So I think regardless of if he falls or if he rises, this is a guy that you are going to want to draft.
Yeah, you mentioned his size. He's 6'2", 245. For an edge rusher, I mean, he's listed as a linebacker, but he's an outside, an edge. He's an edge. He's a defensive end. 6'2", 240 for an end is small, but he's fast, and he's a beast. When he gets around the edge, his swim moves, just his ability to get straight to the quarterback is very intriguing. And again, he's from Georgia. Like you mentioned, Jihad Campbell's from Alabama. It's the same thing. These guys have all the talent in the world. They just need to be coached a little bit, tweaked a little bit. And if they show out in the Combine, especially Jalen Walker, he could make his way up to the top of the first round if he really shows out here.
Yeah.
We've seen the 40-yard dash make so many players go way higher than they should have been. He could be one of them. I mean, honestly. He's
Certainly.
fast. I have another defensive end here. Marshall defensive end, Mike Green. He led the NCAA in sacks this year. He was basically just living in opponents' backfields. He is a beast. When they do his measurables at the combine, I guarantee you his draft stock is going to go way up. He's got a huge wingspan. He's got a huge size. He just kind of needs that combine to prove, like, okay, he's from Marshall. So he was in a weak conference.
Yeah.
Right? Let's be honest. And a lot of people are saying, oh, well, he's in a weak conference. That's why he's... He needs this combine to kind of prove and be like, it wasn't the conference. It's me, So I think he's going to show out at this combine, and he'll be the steal of the draft. Whoever gets him, I think he'll be like a mid-first rounder. Right now he's projected mid-first round. He's going to probably stay there or maybe even go up higher. Whoever gets him, they're getting a sleeper. I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah, for sure. Moving forward here, I've got Trey Amos from Ole Miss, the corner. He's definitely a pure pass coverage guy. They have some notes here in the combine, or at least before the combine, that run stopping has been a problem for him. Mm-hmm. But his overall foot quickness and size is going to be great, especially in press coverage. And he could advance his draft stock in the combine because he appears to be rated a little too low. I think I was looking at some of these pre-combine grades. They had him at something like 6.2, which, it was just in comparison with the rest of the corners that were there. There were some other questionable grades of corners that were there, which, we could talk about. They have Travis Hunter at 6.89, which is ridiculously
We were talking
high.
about that, too. That's nuts. I won't lie to you. Trey Amos? Who knows?
Yeah.
You know who we're talking about. Old Miss corner. I think he's pretty underrated. I thought he was going to go late first round. At least that's where he was projected earlier in the season. Now he's looking to be a mid-second rounder. He's got to get his draft stock up a little bit. There were a lot of corners, especially combine grade-wise, that were rated a lot higher than him. I don't think that's fair. I think he should be a lot higher, but he is pure pass coverage. We talked about that, but run stopping is coachable. That is something that's very coachable, but instincts are not.
Yeah, and also, sorry, but,
no,
it's also a pass-first league for a lot of teams, too. So a pass coverage out of a corner is definitely something that you'd want anyways.
He's looking to be a good corner, too, maybe a slot corner. But I just think he was rated way too low. I think at this combine, he's going to get his draft stock up. And so keep your eye on him because I think he's going to have a pretty decent combine at least. Mm-hmm. My next player here, let me scroll up. So what I realized from looking at this is there's just way too many good running backs in this draft.
Yes.
There's a lot. I saw Trevor Etienne, Ashton Jeanty, LaQuint Allen, Syracuse guy, Ollie Gordon II. He kind of fell off once Jeanty started going, but he's still very good. A lot of really, really good players. Mm-hmm. But I've got two sleepers for you. Maybe not sleepers at this point, but two guys who I think are going under the radar. SMU running back Brashard Smith. He went from playing wide receiver at Miami to coming and playing running back at SMU. So he only had 235 carries in his career as a running back. So that's not, the workload is small. But Tyrone Tracy, the running back for the Giants, drafted last year, he went from playing wide receiver at Purdue to playing running back at Purdue. And it worked out really well. And I think that's what makes him so explosive. And we're seeing a lot of running backs make that change, and I think it's working really well. So I think if someone drafts him, they could use him similar to Tyrone Tracy, and I think having that added skill set really makes him a sleeper. And even this year, 235 carries, 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns. He was a good running back. He wasn't just a pass catcher.
Yeah, well, and it also really puts to rest any worries about pass catching from a running back. There are a great deal of running backs that really can't catch passes.
Even Saquon Barkley isn't that great at receiving.
Yeah, and so just to know you're going to have a sure-handed guy, and there's a proof of concept with Tyrone Tracy. You know that something like this actually can work and does. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how it pans out. I want to see him during the combine. We really should, watch him.
I think I'm gonna watch almost every moment of it, but it should be really fun. And then I do want to do a winners and losers, probably next episode. So stay tuned for that. Your draft expert here, I guess, is going to try my best to do this. And then I have Virginia Tech running back, I'm probably going to butcher his name, Baishul Tutin. Do you know?
I don't.
I'm sorry.
No.
He can catch, he's a great runner, and he's a great blocker, which I think is really underrated nowadays. He had 183 carries, 1159 yards, 15 touchdowns. He was at Virginia Tech, so he was pretty much overlooked. But he was a top 5 running back pretty much all season, maybe even higher than that. I think he can go late round to some team and probably be a starter. If he goes like third round to like the Broncos or something, he could be nasty.
Yeah, for sure. One other guy I've got here, I went with an offensive guard. There wasn't a lot of guards in this draft, so
Sure.
I feel like if there was ever any kind of situation where you really boost your stock with a good combine, I feel like Tyler Booker could definitely be someone who could do it. He is from Bama, so again, the coachability aspect is definitely going to be there. He's your stereotypical run-blocking guard, but he shows pass protection potential. He's got great strength. And one thing that they mentioned is he has elite technique, and he shows a platform to blossom into a pass protector. And he's got great football IQ. He was a captain when he was in high school on IMG.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
So, you know for sure he's going to be a good and respected leader. And then also, having great technique, something that can be hard to teach. It kind of gives you a basis for growing into a pass protector if you are predominantly a run protecting guard. But I think with a good combine, he shows off some of that strength. I mean, it's really only him and a couple other guards that are even close to the first or second round. He could definitely boost his draft stock by a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he's 6'5", 230, or 325. Is that what that says?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 325. He's nuts. That is huge. And, like, we've kind of seen, like a lot of other guards come out of Alabama who are big. Like, let's say, Evan Neal, Giants.
Mm-hmm.
He was huge. I think I'm thinking of the right guy. Evan Neal, he was like 6'6" when he came out. But he had all the size. He just wasn't very, like, good. Like, I don't...
It just didn't
you know
pan
what I'm
out.
saying? Like, it was we can coach him thing.
Mm-hmm.
But for Tyler Booker, it's like, he already knows what he's doing. And he's huge, which makes it so much more scary to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Neal, 6'7", and just...
He's still only 24 years old.
Yes, and he maybe he could get better, but he struggled a little bit. I think it's Evan Neal who I'm talking about.
Yeah, it is.
He's just not very good.
Yeah,
and maybe it's because he's on the Giants, but that's who I would compare him to. They both came out of Alabama. They both had pretty good size. Obviously, Evan Neal had 2 more inches on him,
mm-hmm.
but again, having that good football IQ can really, really make the difference.
Yeah, definitely.
And good technique, too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anyway, but I've got 2 more guys here. I've got San Jose State wide receiver Nick Nash. Let me go over his stats. So he's great hands, great contested catcher. He's a little bit slower, but he still gets separation, which I think is huge because he gets acceleration early on in his routes, which is something a lot of players don't have. He's a little bit undersized. He's 6'2". And I said he's not super fast, and he is a little bit on the older side. One thing I would say is he was a 6-year senior.
Oh my goodness.
So that makes him 24.
6 years.
He played for 6 years.
6.
I literally can't find his age. I don't know.
Mr. Nash.
He started playing college football in 2019.
You've been playing college football for a little too long, Mr. Nash. That's what I think.
Yeah, but without this season especially, he really wouldn't have been able to get his draft stock up. He led the NCAA in receiving yards for a wide receiver with 1,382. Second overall. We'll get to the first in a second. 104 receptions, 16 touchdowns. again, just a really good contested catcher. He'll probably go kind of like a later round, but I think he'll be really nasty. And I think if he really outperforms at this combine, he could get up there in the top receiver talks for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hey, if I was a grown man playing amongst boys, I'd be doing pretty well too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he did
No,
also play for San Jose State, which is tough. I mean, that's just how it is. But again, these guys in their lower conferences need this combine to prove that it wasn't the conference that was helping them.
Yeah, for sure. I also kind of have a grown man playing amongst boys as my last prospect here.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. He's not
Too
quite
old.
that old, but he's pretty old. Kyle McCord, Cuse baby, come on. Funny story about Kyle McCord. So me and my friends, we're from high school that go to St. Bonaventure here. We wanted to go to a Syracuse game because we started the season pretty well, or I guess we didn't start the season pretty well, but we definitely ramped it up as the season went on. And
Better than Syracuse usually does.
Definitely, and there's a lot of hype coming into this year. We recruited pretty well in the offseason. So we thought, hey, the closest game, even closer than Syracuse, would be to just go to Syracuse versus Pitt. Why don't we go to that game? So, a 2.5, 3 hour car ride later and, skipping some classes, or skipping doing work for some classes, that is, we go to Pittsburgh and we sit down to enjoy Kyle McCord and the Orange take on Pitt. And he proceeds to throw, how many did he end up with that game? 6 interceptions, something like that, and multiple pick sixes. I think he threw 2 in the first half at least. We left at halftime. That was by far the craziest thing that I've ever experienced. We drove to watch our team, and we managed to catch the worst game of the season.
Yeah, 5 interceptions, 3 pick sixes, and a loss to Pitt.
Anyways,
that's probably his worst game. I mean, but where does it get good here?
It gets good, trust me, okay? So he's fearless throwing into coverage.
Obviously, yeah.
So no, that's obviously not a great thing. But what I have noticed over the course of the year, obviously, is, he led the entire NCAA in passing yards. That shouldn't go unnoticed. Yeah, he threw the ball a lot, but he also, showed an ability that he can make pretty much every throw from the pocket, and he also had some good, throw on the run ability as well. So I think Kyle McCord, someone that if you could draft, get in as a backup, if you really don't have anyone else on the board that you like, I think he could absolutely ball out for really any team he goes to. Again, he would have to improve on throwing as many picks as he does, but someone that can light it up, I feel like you'd always have to be willing to give him a chance, and I think no doubt he does well at the combine.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, this is a weak QB class.
Yeah.
Right? I think if Kyle McCord can get his draft stock up here, he's only 22 years old. If he can really increase his draft stock, he could, hear me out, he could go second round. Maybe even late first for a really needy team. Like the Raiders. They could get him early second round. And that's a decent quarterback for them.
It's crazy to be talking about this as a Syracuse fan, just because for most of the year I was not even thinking that Kyle McCord would even be drafted, especially after that Pitt game.
Yeah.
But
if he gets his draft stock up, I honestly think if he goes off at the combine,
which he
could. He's got all the talent to do so.
Yeah.
And he's not throwing with anybody covering, so it's just wide open receivers. All he has to do is put it right where they need it. If he gets his draft stock up, he could be. I think his ceiling is second round, and his floor is 7th round. But I think he could honestly get within that second round, and that's not crazy.
No, it's not. Which, you know what, it's kind of funny, but Kyle McCord could trick some teams after the combine, especially if he throws to open receivers that are not covered, right? and I think he's gonna make all of those throws. He's gonna look really good in the combine, especially if there's no defense.
So my question is, do you or do you not like Kyle McCord?
So that's the problem. I think historically, quarterbacks like Kyle McCord don't tend to work out. Especially if they have a good combine, it kind of just tricks teams. If once you see them make those throws, especially without defense, it can kind of pull the mask up over. I do really want him to do well, but I think historically a guy like Kyle McCord just doesn't pan out.
He kind of reminds me of like AJ McCarron.
Yeah, kind of like that kind of,
Yeah, like
he's white too.
Yeah, he is. Like, two guys who are just gunslingers, and they'll put up a ton of yards, but they're not exactly like the most accurate or most consistently. I don't know. That's what it reminds me of. Yeah. But again, weak draft class, anything could happen here. Mm-hmm. My last guy and the last guy overall, this should go without saying. Bowling Green State University, tight end Harold Fannin Jr. He's just the best tight end in the class. He's a tight end. I don't know if I said that. He's the best.
You've said that like 3 times.
Have I? Yeah. I don't remember saying that, but he's the best tight end in the class. He led the NCAA in receiving yards with 1,555 on 117 receptions and 10 touchdowns. Again, Bowling Green, not the best name. They're looking to prove they are better than they are. This is where to do it. And I think he could honestly sneak in and be a first-round pick if he's not already.
I don't know. I can't really say I made it to a lot of Bowling Green games this year, but
Fair enough. I honestly think he's probably the best tight end in the class, if not the Penn State tight end, whose name I can't remember. But I think he could honestly be a first-round pick with how weak this draft is. To a team that I guess needs a tight end. Maybe the Bills will get him. We'll get 3.
Yeah, we'll just get another one. Why not?
That is the list. But that will do it for this episode of Field Goals and Forecast. Thank you guys for getting to this point in the video. If you are, thank you all for watching. Hopefully the combine goes well. I think it'll just be me next week because we are on break. Yeah. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, thank you all for watching again. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Peace.